Allora, grazie per essere qua. Ancora il pomeriggio è interessantissimo, quindi avete fatto bene a tornare. Volevo chiedere agli speakers di stare nei tempi, perché questo è un teatro, questa sera c'è uno spettacolo e quindi bisogna che noi si finisca in tempo perché devono preparare il palco, eccetera. Quindi chiedo agli speakers di stare nei tempi. Avete il timer sullo schermo. Dunque, cominciamo con la professora in italiano o in inglese? With Professor Lidia, Daimiel, India, Madrid. She works on physiopathology of obesity and nutrition al Istituto de Salud Carlos II. Come personalizzare la dieta per migliorare i biomarcatori dell'invecchiamento. So those correlation between diet and biomarkers in aging. Lidia, we are ready. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. So thanks for this invitation to get to talk about precision aging. So now after debating a lot about aging, we know that chronological age is not the same as biological age, and what defines how well you are aging is your biological clock. The biological aging is the progressive decline of different systems that declines at a different speed depending on the system. But the most important thing is that to promote healthy aging is very important for the elderly population, because a healthy aging progression means that in the elderly you maintain a good health status and you have an active life, a physical, an emotional, and a social active life, which is crucial for all of us. But the dynamics of this biological aging can differ, and actually differs between individuals, and there are different factors affecting to this speed of biological aging, as we have seen along this day. Sedentarism, lack of sleep, smoking, unhealthy diet, and stress accelerate aging, whereas exercise, a good quality and quantity of sleep, appropriate nutrition and relaxation, they accelerate aging. And when it comes about nutrition, we have to say that the Mediterranean diet is our best friend in the aging process. A higher an intervention with a Mediterranean diet, either enriched in nuts or in extra virgin olive oil, has been shown to decrease cardiovascular disease by 30% in comparison with a low-fat diet. These are findings from the PREDIMED study. A higher adherence to Mediterranean diet has been shown to be related to a lower all-cause mortality in different studies. In fact, different meta-analyses show that Mediterranean diet protects against cardiovascular disease, cancer, and neurodegenerative diseases. But not everybody responds similarly to an intervention. So our focus is to try to define why some participants in our trials respond better than others to lifestyle intervention. And this is something that we do within the frame of the PREDIMED Plus study. PREDIMED Plus study is a randomized, controlled, parallel group study that has recruited 6,874 participants, men and women from 55 to 75 years, with overweight and obesity, and with metabolic syndrome, thanks to the joint efforts of 23 research centers from Spain. Those participants have been randomly allocated either in the control group. Participants in the control group follow just general recommendations to adhere to a Mediterranean diet and to manage metabolic syndrome according to the guidelines of general practitioners. whereas participants in the intervention group follow a multifactorial intervention with energy-reduced Mediterranean diet with 25% calorie restriction, physical activity, and behavioral support. The hypothesis is that this multifactorial intervention will reduce cardiovascular disease. And within this study, we are evaluating how this intervention modulates molecular hallmarks of aging. There are 12 molecular hallmarks of aging that has been identified so far, and we focus on telomere attrition, epigenetic alterations, the dysregulation of our capability to regulate nutrient homeostasis on cellular senescence. And starting with telomere attritions, telomere are these short fragments of the string of the chromosomes, and in the senescent cells, they become shorter. So the longer the telomeres, the younger your cells are. We have, in 322 participants of this PREDIMED Plus study, we have observed that after 1 year of intervention, women have longer telomeres. That meaning that this intervention in women is improving this hallmark of aging. But we usually see a very big variability between individuals. And here is where we try to take advantage of machine learning methods in order to try to identify groups of responses to the intervention. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence algorithms that can recognize patterns and make predictions on the data. Machine learning methodologies can analyze more complex and larger data sets to uncover insights that traditional statistical methods might miss. And we can use these methods in personalized nutrition to personalize predictions, to predict how an individual might respond to a specific dietary recommendations, to evaluate or predict the risk of the participants to develop diseases, to define personalized dietary plans, and even to adapt recommendations according to changes in the biology of the individuals. We can add in our algorithms of machine learning as many data as possible. We can add genetic, epigenetic, metabolic, blood biomarkers data. We can add data about the status of the microbiota. Of course, we collect data about the lifestyle of the participants, dietary habits, physical activity, and we can use also different monitoring devices that allow us to monitor in the real life parameters like physical activity, sleep quality, stress, or even glucose. So all this data for each particular individual can be used in our machine learning algorithms to try to identify clusters or groups of different responses. And this is something that we have done in our subsample of PREDIMED Plus. I'm gonna pass these slides because we are shorter in time. And we have studied two hallmarks of aging. One of them is the functionality of HDL. HDL is the good cholesterol, okay? HDL lipoproteins extract the excess of cholesterol from the cells and transport it to the liver. In the liver, the cholesterol is conjugated with bile acid to be excreted in the intestine. This process is the reverse cholesterol transport, and the capability of HDL of extracting this extras and clear the cholesterol declines with age. So we evaluated the functionality of the HDL of the participants in the PREDIMED Plus study after 3 years of intervention. And we observed that this functionality increased in participants of the intervention groups. That meaning that suggests that this intervention is capable of improving the functionality of HDL. But this improvement depended on the weight of the participants. This improvement was not significant in participants with overweight or participants with obesity grade 1, and those who benefit more from this intervention were participants with higher BMI, participants with obesity grade 2. So the initial weight impacts on the capability of improving this HDL functionality. Another hallmark of aging that we evaluated is the senescence of our immune system. In the aging process, our immune system becomes senescent. That means that it the capability of recognizing pathogens and being activated to fight against infections declines with age, and this is related to a higher susceptibility to infections. And we know that because in the elderly, we have more senescent T lymphocytes. The population of senescent T lymphocytes increases. So we evaluated in these participants if the immunosenescent profile improved after these 3 years of this multifactorial intervention. What we observed is that after 1 and 3 years, participants in the intervention group decreased the numbers of senescent T lymphocytes. So the immune system of these participants, even if they are 3 years older, is even younger. Okay? And again, the weight of the baseline body mass index of these participants played a role in this response, because this improvement was observed only in participants with overweight, only in participants with obesity grade 1, but not in participants with obesity grade 2. So the higher the body mass index, the lower the response, so the lower the benefit of from this intervention. And then we applied a machine learning algorithm, a clustering study, in order to try to identify participants with different response to the intervention. So we applied this method only to participants from the intervention group. And we identified 3 different groups of response. Participants in cluster 1 were late responders. That means that after 1 year of intervention, they did not show improvement in these parameters, but the improvement was significant after 3 years of intervention. So these later responders were mainly women, younger, with higher HDL levels at baseline, and with higher fat mass loss after 3 years of intervention. Unfortunately, those participants in cluster 2 were the non-responders. So they did not benefit from this intervention. These were mainly younger male with higher fat mass at the beginning and with lower fat mass loss because of the intervention. And participants in cluster 3 were earlier responders. That means that this improvement in HDL functionality and immunosenescence was significant after just 1 year of intervention, and was maintained significant after 3 years of intervention. They were mainly older women with higher baseline HDL levels. So what we can learn of these models is that baseline characteristics of the participants play an important role in the response to intervention. Parameters such as age, sex, body composition, initial weight, initial glucose or HDL levels define how much they are going to respond to an intervention. And the application of these machine learning methodologies have a potential impact on public health, but we have to bear in mind that there are some challenges to be able to move forward in this field. One challenge is how to integrate such a huge amount of data from each participant. So we are moving from very large clinical studies with many participants and a few data collected from each participant to shorter clinical trials with a lower number of participants, but collecting a lot of data from each participant in different time points. And this is very difficult to integrate, and it's very difficult to interpret. But we are on the way, it's fine. But the thing is, the time to try to advance in this field is right now, because the society is actually claiming for precision medicine and precision nutrition because of these 4 social trends. Consumers are always seeking for personalized experiences in every aspect of their life. Since personalized song list in Spotify or movie list in Netflix to any other parameters. There is a clear general concern on healthy habits, specifically after COVID-19 pandemic. There is an increasing interest in monitoring as many aspects of health as possible. Many of us wear a sport watch that is monitoring our heart rate, our oxygen, even our steps, etc. And we can even take advantage of new monitoring devices that are appearing and will appear in the very near future in the market, such as glucose sensor and other sensors that will be implemented in T-shirts, in our clothes. Okay? And also because omics technologies are becoming more affordable and accessible. And that means that these four social trends makes this time right now the time of precision medicine and precision nutrition. So it's time for action in this field. Nothing else, just I wanted to show this simple example of how to differentiate patterns of different responses to intervention. And it's now the time to say thanks to all my team that is working very hard every day at the lab, recruiting participants, doing the intervention, collecting data, processing samples. So it's my pleasure also to say thanks to all of them. Thank you very much for your attention.
Do we have questions for Lidia? Just one small question. Like when you said that you measured immunosenescence, you did a CD3 plus, CD28 negative, or?
Yes, CD4, CD28 negative. Sorry.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
CD4, CD28 negative using flow cytometry. I had no time to explain specifically the methodology, but yes.
And that's modified by diet?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
We realized that we are able to modify each molecular hallmarks of aging with diets and physical activity.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you. Ellas, prego.
Thank you, Lidia, and thank you for coming. It's always nice to hear you. I just have a question. I didn't hear anything about water and hydration. Is this something that you think will impact or not?
Yes, for sure it has to have an impact. Actually, in the PREDIMED study, we have collected the specific data about hydration status, but we haven't evaluated, we haven't assessed it, we haven't analyzed this relationship between hydration status and molecular aging. But it's very interesting, and actually it's a must.
Yes, I was just wondering, because you talked about obese persons, and this morning we heard in another place that the new drugs that are really very effective deregulate hydration, like making people less thirsty. So I was wondering, since you have all these different kind of persons, that would be very interesting to look at.
Yeah, thank you. But obesity, and more specifically adiposity, what we see is that it has very big impact on the response to every intervention. So I don't know if this is just something related to hydration and also something related to inflammatory status, the baseline inflammatory status of the participants, that in some cases makes them less flexible to respond to an intervention. And that means that maybe the first line of action has to be to do some intervention to impact on adiposity, and then try to do an intervention to impact on aging, and to consequently improve aging. That's precision nutrition.
Ci sono other questions for Lidia? Gracias. Thank you.